10 years on a loading dock taught me one thing, and it is the only thing I have ever been sure of. Nothing leaves the warehouse without a signature. Not a pallet. Not a crate. Not a single boxed bearing worth $11. Somebody writes their name. The clock stamps the hour. And from that second forward, there is a person who answers for where that thing went. That is not paperwork. That is the whole idea. I got to my sister's engagement party 20 minutes late. I had come off a Thursday night shift. My hands still smelled like machine oil. No matter how long I scrubbed them in the truck stop bathroom on Division, my parents' dining room was full. 40 people, give or take, packed around the long table and spilling into the kitchen doorway with paper plates. Aunt Bev had saved me a chair, which was kind of her, and she patted it twice when I sat down like I was a dog that had finally come when called. Elias was across from me in his canvas work jacket. He had gotten there on time. He always did. Chase was mid-story when I sat. Something about a contractor who had quoted him wrong, and how you have to watch those guys. And he looked right at Elias when he said it. Elias smiled at him the way you smile at weather. Then my mother tapped her glass with a butter knife. The room went quiet in that lurching way rooms do when everyone was already half waiting for something. Bryn straightened up. Her phone was already propped against the water pitcher. Already recording. Because everything in her life was already recording. Before dessert, my mother said, your father and I have news about Bryn's wedding. I remember thinking, in the second before she said it, that I was too tired for whatever this was. We've booked the Cascadia Lodge, she said. The full weekend. The lawn ceremony, the barn, all of it. Bryn made a sound I can only describe as a shriek, with a smile attached. Chase pumped his fist. Somebody at the far end of the table started clapping, and then everybody did, and my mother let it run for a good 5 seconds before she raised her hand. And before anyone asks, she said, still smiling, we used Nora's wedding fund. I did not move. $52,000, she said, to the room, not to me. Grandma's money, and I know how that sounds. So let me just say it plain. Bryn only gets one shot at this. She's special. She turned toward me then, finally, and her voice went soft and warm, which was worse. And you can always pick up more shifts, honey, you always do. 40 people looked at me. I have thought about that moment more than I would like to admit. And what I keep coming back to is that nobody in that room looked surprised. Not one face. My cousin Dale kept eating. Aunt Bev studied the tablecloth. The clapping had not even fully died down. I asked one question. I asked it quietly, because I did not trust my voice with volume. The fund needs 2 signatures, I said. Mine and yours. Where did mine come from? My mother waved that away with the butter knife still in her hand. I signed it for you, she said. You were on nights. It was easier, that was it. That was the whole answer. And here's the part that still gets me at 2 in the morning sometimes. Nobody at that table reacted. Not a single person heard a woman say she had written her adult daughter's name on a bank document and thought, that is a strange thing to be proud of. Aunt Bev leaned toward me. She smelled like hairspray and the same perfume she had worn since I was a kid. Let's not make a thing of it, sweetheart, she said, into my ear. And then she went back to her plate. My father set down his beer. Nora, I'm going to say this once, and I'm saying it because somebody has to. He looked at my hands when he said it. Everyone always looks at my hands. You've spent 10 years moving other people's boxes, and this is finance and it's structured. There are trustees and instruments and timelines, and it is genuinely over your head. And there is no shame in that. I did not argue. I did not cry. I put my fork down. I folded my napkin into a square and set it beside my plate, the way my mother taught me when I was 9. And I understood, in a slow, cold way, that I had spent my whole life making sure I was never the one who ruined dinner. Then I looked across the table at Elias. He was already looking at me. He put his glass down. He did not raise his voice, and he did not stand up. And that is why it landed the way it did. "Their 48 hours start now?" he said. My father laughed out loud. A real laugh from the belly. The kind he saves for jokes he makes himself. 48 hours until what? "Son, you going to bill me?" Chase already had his phone up. "I looked you up. Man, Elias Brandt. There's nothing. No profile. No listing. No reviews. You're a ghost." He grinned around the table so everybody could enjoy it with him. "In this economy, if you're not online, you're nobody." Elias did not answer him. He looked at his watch. Elias drove us home. He did not say anything for the first 10 minutes, which I was grateful for. And at the light on Sprague, he reached over and held my hand without looking at me. "Did you mean that?" I said. "Or was that just something to say at a table?" "Sleep," he said. "I'll tell you tomorrow." "That's not an answer." "No," he said. "It isn't." I did not sleep. I lay there in the dark doing the thing I had trained myself out of doing years ago, which is going back through it. All of it. Because the ugly truth about that dining room is that it was not a surprise. It was a pattern finally saying its own name out loud. I was 19 when I paid for my own certification course. Forklift, then hazmat handling, then inventory systems. $1,100 I saved in tips from a diner on North Monroe. That same spring, my parents bought Bryn a used Civic because, and this is a direct quote, "A girl her age should not be waiting at a bus stop in the dark." I was working nights then too. Nobody mentioned my bus stop. I was 24 when Bryn ran up $3,400 on a credit card buying furniture for an apartment she left in 5 months. My mother called me at work. She used the word fragile. She said Bryn was fragile. And I was the strong one. And could I please just handle it quietly so your father doesn't find out? I paid it off over 14 months. Nobody ever brought it up again, including Bryn. And somewhere in all those years, without me noticing it happening, my mother had been telling people about me. Not lies exactly, just a version. Nora works too much. Nora's hard to reach. Nora gets funny about things. You say that to a family for 20 years, softly, at holidays, in the tone of a woman who is worried about her daughter. By the end, you have built a whole person out of nothing. A difficult person. A person you would believe almost anything about. That is what was sitting around that table. Not 40 people who did not care. 40 people who had already been handed a picture of me. And the picture fit what they had just watched. I called my mother at 9 the next morning. She answered like nothing had happened, like I was calling about a recipe. "Mom, you wrote my name on a bank document." "Oh, Nora, that's forgery. That's the actual word for it. Don't be dramatic. I heard the dishwasher open on her end. She was unloading it while we talked. It's family money. Your grandmother would have wanted Bryn taken care of." "Grandma left it to me, for my wedding, which is in 8 weeks. And you'll have a lovely little wedding," she said. "You've never wanted a big thing anyway. You'd have been miserable at the Cascadia. All those people." I stood in my kitchen and looked at the calendar on the fridge. "Say it, then," I said. "Say why it went to her and not to me." There was a pause. Plates clinking. "Because she needs it." My mother said, You've never needed anything from us, sweetheart. That's what makes you you. Bryn falls apart if the flowers are wrong. You've been standing on your own since you were 17. She said it like a compliment. She has always said it like a compliment. "And honestly, honey, if you're short, you can pick up more shifts. You always find a way." She did not apologize. Not at the start, not at the end, not once in 9 minutes. After I hung up, I sat down at this kitchen table with the folder I keep my own paperwork in. Our venue confirmation was on top. A barn on Highway 2 with a hand-lettered sign. 4,000 down. Balance due at 30 days out. 8 weeks. A swatch of the fabric I had picked was stapled to the corner. The woman who owned the place did that for everybody. I had thought it was the nicest thing anyone had done for me all year. I sat there a while. Then I opened the banking app on my phone, and I pulled up the fund, and I looked at the balance. It was not 52,000, it was 0. Cascade Mutual opens at 8. I called at 8:01. The woman who took the transfer was named Padma Iyer, and she had the flat, careful voice of somebody who has delivered bad news before and did not enjoy it. "I'd like the full statement history on the trust account," I said. "And the access log." "The access log," she repeated. "Every login, every device, every timestamp." There was a pause on her end. "Keys." "Miss Vance," she said, "can I ask you something? Do you remember authorizing a phone verification in April?" I sat down on the arm of my couch. "No," I said. "Okay," she said, and something in her voice changed. It got quieter and more precise, and I recognized it. It is the voice I use when I find a discrepancy on a bill of lading and I already know it is going to be somebody's bad day. "I'm going to send you everything. Give me until noon." It came at 11:20, 41 pages. I cleared the kitchen table, which meant moving a laundry basket and 2 mugs, and I laid the pages out in rows the way I lay out a receiving log, left to right, oldest to newest. And then I did the only thing I have ever been genuinely good at, which is comparing one piece of paper to another piece of paper until they stop agreeing. It took 11 minutes. The first thing was the shape of it. The money did not leave in one piece. It left in 3. 17,000 on a Tuesday in April, 20,000 5 weeks later, 15,000 the week after that. Anybody who has never worked a dock would look at that and see 3 withdrawals. I looked at it and saw a split load. We get it maybe twice a month at Hallenbeck. A customer needs 40 units, but a shipment over a certain value triggers a secondary inspection and a signature from a manager who actually reads things. So they order 22, then 18, 3 days apart, under 2 different purchase orders. It is not clever. It is the oldest trick on the floor. You break the load until the pieces are small enough that nobody stops to look at any one of them. My father sells insurance. He knows exactly what a reporting threshold is. The second thing was the signature. There were 3 disbursement forms, and my name was on all 3. I zoomed in on my phone until the pixels went soft. It flowed. That was the whole problem. It flowed. When I was 22, a steel shaft crate came off a stack wrong and took the base of my right thumb with it. 9 stitches. A tendon they had to go back in for. And after that, my hand does a thing. When I write my name, the pen stalls at the top of the N, not a shake, a stall like a bad clutch. Every signature I have made in 10 years has that little dead spot in it, and I have signed my name maybe 40,000 times since, because that is the job. The N on those forms was one clean stroke. My mother has beautiful handwriting. She always has. The third thing was the timestamps, and the third thing is the one that made me stand up. 2:14 in the morning, 1:47, 3:02. Those are not hours when a 60-year-old woman in Spokane Valley is awake doing paperwork. Those are the hours when her daughter is on the floor at a distribution warehouse, badged in on camera, with a supervisor initialing a shift sheet. Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, 10 years running. My mother knew my schedule better than she knew her own, because she had been calling me on Wednesdays my whole adult life. She used my nights. I photographed every page twice. I backed the folder up 3 places, and I named it the way I name a claim file at work, which is date first, then party, then the word open. Then I sat there with my hands flat on the table until they stopped doing what they were doing. Roberta Feld had an opening on Friday. Her office was above a print shop on Riverside, and she was maybe 60, gray hair cut short, reading glasses pushed up into it. She read for 10 minutes without saying anything. Then she took the glasses down. 3 things happen now, she said. 1. A preservation letter goes to the bank today, so nothing gets purged. 2. We retain a document examiner for the signature. 3. We file criminal alongside the civil. Alongside, I said. Alongside, not after. She wrote something. People always want to do it politely first. Politely first is how the file gets cold. What does that cost? To start, 11,000. I did not say anything for a second. The examiner is 4 of that, she said, and I need it before the report, not after. I said I would call her Monday. In the truck, I opened my savings account, the one I have been feeding since I was 23. 12,480. Elias picked me up Saturday morning and drove east out of town on Trent, past the rail yard, past the place where the sidewalk gives up and the road just becomes road. He pulled onto gravel in front of a brick warehouse with the windows punched out. "What is this?" I said. "Mine. As of March." It was maybe 6,000 square feet. Single story. Brick laid in the tight-old pattern nobody pays for anymore. Half the roof was gone. There was a birch growing out of the loading bay, an actual tree, 4 feet tall, coming up through a crack in the concrete. I walked the length of it with my head back. "The steel's good," I said. He looked over at me. "That's the first thing you said. It's the only thing that matters. Roof is money. Brick is money. Bent steel is a tear down." I put my hand flat on one of the columns, cold, pitted, solid. "This is fine. Somebody just stopped paying attention to it." We sat on the concrete steps and ate sandwiches out of the paper. It was one of those October mornings where the light comes in low and everything looks better than it is. "I'm not angry about the money," I said. He waited. "I mean, I am $52,000. Of course I am." I set the sandwich down. "But that's not the part I keep going back to." "Which part?" 40 people. I could hear my own voice doing something strange, flattening out. 40 people heard my mother say she wrote my name on a bank form, and every single one of them kept eating. Dale kept eating. Elias. Bev told me not to make a thing of it. My father explained finance to me. I looked at the birch tree coming up through the concrete. "I've spent my whole life being the one who handles it," I said. "You break something, I fix it. Bryn runs a cart up, I pay it. Mom needs somebody to drive to Colville at 6 in the morning. That's me." And I told myself that was love. I told myself it was love for probably 15 years. I picked at the wrapper. "But you don't get thanked for being water. You get thanked for being a gift." And I made myself so useful that nobody in that room could even see a reason to be on my side. Elias did not tell me I was wrong. He did not tell me they loved me in their own way. He did not do a single one of the things people do when they want a hard conversation to be over. He said, "They looked at your hands." "What? When your father said it, he looked at your hands. And then half the table did." He was looking straight ahead at the tree. "I watched it happen. They all checked your hands, like that settled it." I did not have anything to say to that. Then his phone went. He looked at the screen and stood up in a way I had not seen him stand up before. "I need to take this." He walked about 20 steps out into the gravel and turned his back to me. That was the first thing that was wrong. Elias had never once walked away from me to take a call. The wind was coming toward me. I got pieces. Acquisition timeline. Board sign-off Tuesday. Something about the portfolio, and then a phrase I turned over for the rest of the afternoon, which was "tell them the number is final." His shoulders were different. His whole shape was different. He was standing the way men stand in rooms where everyone is waiting for them. He came back and sat down and picked up his sandwich like nothing had happened. "Who was that?" I said. "Work, Elias." He put the sandwich down. He looked at me for a long moment, and I watched him decide something, and I watched him decide against it. "Give me a few more days," he said. "I have gone back over this part more than any other part, and I want to be fair about it. He did not lie to me. He never lied to me. He just kept a door closed and asked me to stand next to it." "A few more days until what?" I said. "Until it's worth telling you." I nodded. And that was the thing. I nodded, and I said, "Okay." And I finished my sandwich sitting on a cold step next to a man I had been with for 3 years. For the first time, I was not completely sure who I was agreeing with. Bryn posted on Sunday at 7 in the morning. I know the exact time because my phone was face down on the nightstand and it started moving across the wood like something alive. She had filmed it by the window in her apartment. In that soft early light, she is very good at finding no makeup, or the kind of no makeup that takes 40 minutes. Her eyes were red at the rims. Her voice broke on roughly every third sentence, always at the end, always right before the cut. I don't usually do this, she said. But I need to be honest with you guys. She never said my name. Not once. That is the part people miss. There's somebody in my family who's trying to take my wedding away from me, she said. Somebody who's supposed to love me, and I'm not going to say who, because I'm not that person. 14,000 views by 1 in the afternoon. The comments were a firing squad. Your strength is inspiring. Some people can't stand to see their own sister happy. Whoever it is doesn't deserve you. Then my phone started ringing, and it did not really stop for 2 days. My cousin Dale, Uncle Rich, Aunt Bev twice. A second cousin in Coeur d'Alene I have spoken to maybe 4 times since I was a teenager. And the texts, which were worse, because a text is somebody who wanted to say it but did not want to hear my voice while they said it. Your parents sacrificed for you, and this is how you pay them back. Your sister has been planning this for a year. This is humiliating for the whole family. Nora, drop it. Not one of them asked me a question. That is the thing I want to be clear about, because I sat with it for a long time. Not one person in 40 said, "What happened?" or "Is that true?" or even, "Are you okay?" They arrived already knowing. They had a position before they had a fact. And that was when I finally understood what my mother had been building all those years. She had not needed to lie about me. She had spent 2 decades handing out one small piece at a time. Nora's difficult. Nora holds a grudge. Nora's got that thing about money. You know how she is. Nothing you could ever call a lie. Nothing you could ever hold up and point at. And then one morning her other daughter cried on camera for 90 seconds. The family did not have to think at all. The picture was already hanging on the wall. And Bryn just walked into the frame. Chase posted that afternoon a photo of Elias's truck. The 98 F-250 with the rust along the wheel well. Parked next to the leased Audi, he drives around Spokane like a man being followed by a camera crew. Caption: some people should worry less about lawyers and more about a raise. 31 likes. Aunt Bev left a laughing face on it. I screenshotted it. I screenshotted all of it, and I put it in the folder, and I did not answer a single message. Monday. Marisol called me into the glass office off the receiving floor. Marisol has run that dock for 19 years. She is 52. She keeps butterscotch candies in a drawer for the drivers, and she has never once been unfair to me. She did not sit down. That was how I knew. I got a call Friday, she said. A man said he was your future brother-in-law. My stomach dropped straight through the floor. He said you're having a mental health episode, she said. That you've been harassing his fiancé. That the family's worried you might do something. She looked at me. He knew your shifts, Nora. He knew you took Thursday nights. He knew you'd been in the break room longer than usual last week. None of that's true. I know it's not. She picked up a pen and put it down again. I've written a statement for HR saying exactly that. But he put it in writing and he copied corporate. And the policy is the policy. Marisol. 3 days, she said. Paid review, unpaid if it goes past. I'm sorry. I fought it this morning and I lost. I walked out to the lot at 11:40 in the morning, which is a time of day I have not seen from that parking lot in 10 years. 3 days off the floor, 11,000 already gone to Roberta. A document examiner I still owed 4,000 to, and a barn on Highway 2 with my name on it, 8 weeks out. Balance due at 30 days. The 3 days became 10. HR kicked it up to corporate because the complaint had come from outside the company. And outside complaints go into a different queue. And that queue is slow, Marisol told me on Wednesday. She said it the way you tell somebody a flight is delayed. Then she gave me a butterscotch out of the drawer. I took it and I sat in my truck in that lot and ate it like a woman with no other plan. 10 days is $940. I did the math on the back of a receipt because that is how I do math when I do not want a screen to remember it. Rent, the truck payment, $11,000 already gone. $4,000 still owed to a document examiner who would not start until she was paid. And Roberta, who had been honest with me on Friday in a way I had not wanted her to be. 14 months, she had said. That's the realistic outside number. Could be 9, could be more, if they hire someone who likes continuances. And if I run out of money in month 6, she had not softened it. I will always respect her for that. Then we're in month 6 with nothing to show for it, she said. And you've spent your savings for a filing date. Thursday morning, I called the barn on Highway 2. The woman who owns it answered on the second ring. Cheerful because it was a Thursday in October and she had no idea. Nora, I was going to call you. The chairs came in. They're that same oak I need to cancel, I said. There was a pause with a whole conversation in it. Okay, she said gently. Can I ask what happened? Change of plans. Honey, if it's the balance, I said thank you and I hung up before my voice did the thing it was about to do. Then I stood in my kitchen with my hand still on the counter, and I breathed until it passed. That was the closest I came. That was the only time in all of it. And I am not going to pretend it was strength, because it was not. It was 10 years of night shifts, teaching a body not to make noise when other people are sleeping. Elias came by that night. I told him I had canceled. And he said no. He actually said the word no out loud, standing in my kitchen. Don't cancel it. Call her back tomorrow. With what money, Elias? Nora. With what money? I heard my voice climbing and I did not stop it. And it had been a long time since I had let it climb at anybody. I am 10 days off the floor. I have $4,000 I don't have going to a handwriting expert. I just called a woman who stapled fabric to my paperwork and told her never mind. I was shaking. And every time I ask you a direct question, you tell me a few more days. That's what you have. That's your whole contribution. A few more days. He stood there. Tell me what you're waiting for, I said. Right now, 1 sentence. And he did not. I watched him not do it, and something in my chest went quiet in a way I did not like at all. Go home, I said. He went. I called my mother Friday afternoon. She picked up on the first ring, which told me she had been sitting near the phone for 11 days. Nora, I'll sign, I said. The relief came off her in a rush, warm and enormous, and she used my childhood name, the one nobody has used since my grandmother died. Oh, Nor. Oh, I knew you'd come around. I told your father. I said, she's the sensible one. She always was. Send me whatever it is. I'll sign it. Well, she said, and I heard it. That little hitch. My mother has a specific pause she makes right before she asks for the second thing. And I have known that pause since I was 6 years old. The thing is, sweetheart, there's a lot of hurt in this family right now. Bev's been in tears. Rich won't talk to your father, a breath. Bryn's welcome party is Saturday at the Cascadia, 200 people, and I think it would mean so much. I think it would really heal something if you signed it there, in front of everyone, so they can all see we came through this together. There it was. Not a waiver, a ceremony. You want me to sign it on a stage, I said. I want you to be the bigger person, my mother said, like you've always been. I looked out the kitchen window at nothing. Okay, I said. Elias knocked at 11 that night. He had a folder under his arm. Not a nice one. A plain manila folder. The kind we use at the dock. And he set it on my kitchen table and stood back from it like it might go off. Open it, he said. I opened it. The first page was a letterhead I did not recognize. The Ardennes Collection. 11 properties across 4 states. A Denver address, and a line at the bottom of the page with a name next to the words Chief Executive. The name was his. I turned 3 more pages. Then I closed the folder and sat down. "How long?" I said. 9 years. I bought the first one at 27. It was a motel in Wallace with a bad roof. That's not what I asked. He knew it was not. "You've known me 3 years," he said. 3 years. "Elias, I've done your laundry. I've met your mother." "My mother knows." I laughed. It came out wrong. He pulled a chair out and sat across from me, and he did not reach for my hand, which I noticed, and which was probably wise. "Before you," he said. "There was a woman in Boise. 2 years. And about 11 months in, I found out she'd looked up the company before our second date." He said it evenly. There was no self-pity in it, which somehow made it worse. "She stayed for the number. She was decent about it. She just stayed for the number." "So you tested me." "No." He stopped, restarted. At first I just didn't mention it, and then it had been 6 months, and mentioning it would have been a thing, so I didn't. And then it had been a year. He turned the folder a quarter turn on the table, straightening it. "And I liked who I was in your apartment. I liked being a guy with a truck." "You liked it," I said. "That's the part. You liked it." He did not defend himself. "Do you know what I did on Thursday?" I said. "While you were liking it, I called a woman who has been saving me a barn since June, and I told her never mind. And on Saturday, my father is going to hand me a pen in front of 200 people, and I am going to take it, because I ran out of money on a Tuesday." My voice was flat, and I could hear that it was flat. "You had a way to stop all of it, and you sat in my kitchen and ate my food and said a few more days." "Yes," he said. Not a defense, just yes. We sat there a while. The refrigerator cycled on and off. "Tell me what you were waiting for," I said. "You owe me that in 1 sentence." "Ardennes closed on the Cascadia Lodge Tuesday morning," he said. I looked up. "We've been in diligence on it since June. It went to the board Tuesday. As of 9 that morning. I own the building your sister is getting married in." He let that sit. "I could have canceled her contract 3 weeks ago. Your parents would have shrugged, moved the party to a hotel ballroom, told everyone you did it out of spite. Nothing else would have changed. The money would still be gone. The signature would still be a rumor." He looked straight at me. "I was waiting for Saturday. Saturday is the only day they'll all be in one room, with everything already paid for, in front of every person who watched your mother say it at that table." I understood him. That was the trouble. I understood him completely. "Okay," I said. Okay, but not like that." I stood up and got the folder off the table. My folder. The one with 41 pages of bank statements and 3 photographs of a signature that flows. "Here's what happens Saturday," I said. "You cancel the booking. That's all you do. You lock the door so they can't back out of the room." I put my folder down next to his. "But you don't say a word about the money, and you don't say a word about the signature, and you do not stand up in front of those people and rescue me." He waited. "I'm going to say it," I said. "It's my name on that form. I found it. I'm the one who's going to hold it up." Something went across his face that I had not seen before, and it was not relief. "All right," he said. "I called Roberta at midnight. She picked up like it was noon. Don't file the criminal complaint tomorrow," I said. "File it Saturday morning, early." A pause on her end. Then, dryly, "Before or after breakfast?" "Before," I said. The Cascadia Lodge sits on a bend of the Wenatchee with a 100-foot wall of glass facing the water. 200 people. String lights in the rafters. Real ones. Not the plastic kind. Bryn and white. because she had decided the welcome party should also be white. She moved through that room touching elbows and finding the light like she had been born for it. Elias's truck was parked at the main entrance. Not the lot. The turnaround, in the spot painted for ownership vehicles, with the rust along the wheel well catching the porch lamps. I watched a valet look at it twice and then walk away. Somebody had told him not to touch it. That was the first moment all night I let myself feel anything. My father was working the room in a jacket I had never seen. When he spotted me, he patted his breast pocket twice, so I would know the paper was in there. At 8:15, Bryn took the microphone. "I want to thank my parents," she said, "for the most generous gift anyone has ever given me." Applause. My mother pressed a napkin to the corner of her eye. "And I want to bring up my sister Nora, because family is what got us here." 200 faces turned. I walked up. My father came in from the side with the folded waiver already open and a gold pen held out. "Cap off." My mother leaned in as I passed and said, into my ear, "Thank you for being reasonable." Bryn handed me the microphone so I could say something nice. I took the microphone. I did not take the pen. "Most of you were at my parents' house 6 weeks ago," I said. The room settled. Not silent yet. Settling. "So you heard my mother say she used my wedding fund? $52,000 my grandmother left me, and you heard her say she signed my name on the bank form because I was on nights, and it was easier." I let that sit for exactly as long as I could stand. "I want to walk you through the paperwork. It'll take 4 minutes. I do this for a living." Somebody near the bar laughed, thinking it was a joke. "The money didn't leave in one piece," I said. "It left in 3. 17,000 on April the 8th, 20,000 on May the 14th, 15,000 on May the 21st. I held up the first page so the front tables could see it. At my job, when somebody wants to move a load without a manager reading the paperwork, they break it up. 22 units, then 18, 3 days apart, 2 purchase orders, nobody stops to look at any single piece. I looked at my father. My dad has sold insurance for 31 years. He knows what a reporting threshold is. My father's face had gone a color I had never seen on it. "Second," I said. "The signature." I held up the disbursement form. "That's my name. It flows. Watch." And I turned to the chalkboard the band had propped by the stage, the one with the drink list on it. I picked up the chalk. I signed my name across the bottom of it, big, so the back of the room could see. The pen stalled at the top of the N. It always does. When I was 22, a crate of steel shafting came off a stack and took the base of my thumb, I said. I held my right hand up, palm out, and turned it so the light caught the seam of it. 9 stitches and a tendon repair. Since then, my hand catches in the same place every single time. 10 years. 40,000 signatures. I put the form up next to the chalkboard. "That one doesn't catch," I said. "It's one clean stroke." My mother has beautiful handwriting. She always has. The room made a sound. Not a gasp. Lower than that and longer. "Third," I said. The access log. I read the times off their page because I wanted them read exactly. 2:14 in the morning. 1:47, 3:02. Those are the 3 logins. I held up the last sheet. These are my shift records for those 3 nights. Badge scans, camera timestamps, and my supervisor's initials on all 3. I was on the floor at Hallenbeck. 206 miles of paperwork will tell you where I was. I looked at my mother. "You used my nights," I said. "You've been calling me on Wednesdays my whole adult life because you know exactly when I work." That was when Aunt Bev stood up. She stood up so fast her chair went over backward, and she is 66 years old, and she was shaking. "I sat next to her," Bev said. Her voice cracked and she pushed through it. "At the party, Cheryl said it right in front of me. She said, 'I signed it for you.' It was easier." She turned toward my mother. "And I told this girl not to make a thing of it. I said that to her face." Bev looked at me. 40 days. she said. "I'm sorry." My father came up out of his seat. "This is a family matter," he shouted, and his voice broke on the word family. "You don't get to do this here. This is our night, this is a private—" Elias walked up onto the low stage. He did not take the microphone. He turned his phone around and held it out to Bryn so she could read it, and I watched my sister's face come apart in pieces, top down. "Why is our contract canceled?" she said. "Not to him. To the room." "Why does it say refunded?" "Because I canceled it Thursday," Elias said. He was not loud. He never is. "Our den closed on this property Tuesday morning. I'm the chief executive." He stepped back and stood behind me, and he did not say another word for the rest of the night. The doors at the back opened. Roberta came in with 2 people in coats, and she has a way of walking into a room that makes people move without being asked. "Mr. and Mrs. Vance," she said. "A criminal complaint for forgery of a financial instrument was filed with the county at 8 this morning. I want to be clear with you both, and with everyone here, because I think there's a misunderstanding coming." She took her glasses off. "My client cannot withdraw it. That decision belongs to the prosecutor's office now. It stopped being hers at 8 o'clock. My mother said my name. Just my name. Twice." "The civil side can be settled tonight," Roberta said. $52,000 plus costs. The venue refunded them," my father said. He was grabbing at it. "You just heard him say refunded. They refunded the deposit." Roberta said, "31,000 of that money is gone. The dress is cut. The florist ordered. The band was paid in March. Non-recoverable." She looked at him over the top of her glasses. "You're short by $31,000, Mr. Vance, and I'd like to see the transfer initiated before this room empties." I watched my father take out his phone. His hands were not steady. He went into his banking app and then out of it, and then into something else. I recognized that screen from across the stage. It was the home equity line he took out in 2019 to redo their kitchen. My mother saw the number and put her hand on his arm and said, "Ray, no, that's—" "What do you want me to do?" he said. Chase left at some point during that. Nobody saw him go. By the time Bryn turned around to look for him, the door at the side of the hall was already swinging shut. She stood there in her white dress in the middle of 200 people, holding a microphone nobody wanted from her. I set mine down on the stool. Then I walked out through the glass doors, past the truck, into the parking lot, and the river was loud out there in the dark. Here is how it went, in the order it went. My father took a plea in February. Forgery in the 2nd degree. Reduced. 2 years supervised, restitution on a schedule, and a felony that follows him into every insurance renewal he will ever file. My mother was removed as co-trustee by court order in March. That is a dry sentence for something that was not dry at all. It meant a judge in Spokane County read the file and decided she could not be trusted with a signature. Bryn lost 4 brand partnerships in 9 days. Not because of me, because 100 and some people had phones at that party, and by Sunday there were 3 versions of it up. She turned her comments off. Last I checked, she posts about hiking now. Chase never came back. He is not in a single photo from that spring. And nobody in that family has ever paid me back the $11,000 I spent proving my own name. I got my badge back on a Tuesday. Marisol met me at the time clock with the lanyard in her hand, and a paper folded into quarters in the other. She had written it the first afternoon, the day she suspended me, and sent it to HR that same hour. 3 paragraphs saying she had worked beside me for 9 years, and did not believe a word of it. She had not been allowed to tell me while the review was open. "You could have said something," I said. "I said it to them," she said. "You were the one person I couldn't say it to." She gave me back Tuesdays and Thursdays. I asked for them. That first shift back, at about 1 in the morning, a truck came in from Boise with 11 pallets and a driver who wanted to be somewhere else. I checked the count, I checked the seals, then I signed the receiving log. And my hand stalled at the top of the N the way it has stalled for 10 years. I stood there in the sodium light with the pen still on the paper, and I laughed out loud. The driver asked me what was funny. I told him nothing was. Elias and I got married in April in the brick warehouse on Trent. We had re-roofed it ourselves over the winter, most weekends. There was still a section of the north wall stripped down to the block, where we ran out of daylight in February and never went back. 11 people. No photographer. Roberta came in a green coat and cried, which I did not expect, and neither did she. Aunt Bev sat in the front row on a folding chair and held my flowers while I put the ring on his hand. The birch was still coming up through the loading bay. We built the floor around it. Elias wanted to take it out and I said no. No Ray, no Cheryl, no Bryn. I want to be honest that I thought about it. I stood in that building the morning of, and I thought about whether I would want my mother there if she had come to the door. I do not have a clean answer. I only know I did not call. She texted me in June. I'm sorry. Can we talk? I read it standing at my kitchen counter with my keys still in my hand. And what I want to tell you is that I felt nothing. Not the good kind of nothing. The kind people describe in those posts about healing. Just nothing. The way you feel when a name comes up on your phone and it takes you a second to place it. I put the phone face down on the counter and went to work. I did not forgive her. I did not get even with her either. There was no moment where I decided anything. Somewhere in those 9 months. Without me noticing the day it happened, she stopped being a person whose opinion arrived in my body before my own did. 3 months ago, a pallet came in on my dock addressed to the Ardennes collection. Bed frames, of all things, for the Wallace property, routed wrong and dumped on us by a carrier who did not want to drive them back over the pass. I checked the count. 11 crates, all present. One corner crushed on crate 6. I noted the damage. I stamped the time. I signed my name with the stall in it. And I handed the driver his copy. That is the whole thing, really. That is all I ever wanted from any of them. A name on the line. A time on the clock. One person who answers for where it went. If it were your family, would you forgive them? Or would you close the door? Tell me in the comments. I read them